Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Is this the most powerful attack from the bloodstains on the wing? Luo Feng talked to Shawu on his back. Shawu, can I make that wing recognize me as its master? Shawu knew it better than anyone else. After all, Shawu was a part of that true treasure. Not even close, said Shawu. Master, you have indeed improved your willpower over the past 1,200 years, and it's top-tier level among universe masters now. However, turning from a universe master to a universe supreme master is a fundamental change. And the willpower will be changed fundamentally as well. You're still very far. Luo Feng was still calm. After all, he'd gained a lot. The past 1,200 years had sharpened his mind better than the 100 million years in Beast God sector. He had to admit that the high pressure was a good way to sharpen his willpower. However, if he stayed under such high pressure for too long, his willpower would be damaged as well. It was a double-edged sword. Willpower wasn't like law comprehension. Law comprehension required certain steps, while willpower needed the strength from the inside. It's been 1,000 years, said Luo Feng. Time to go. Luo Feng took a look at the white wing and started to drive Star Tower. There were too many dangerous places in Universe Ocean. There were already all sorts of powers and hazards in the three lands of Extremis. There were many places in the lands of Extremis to sharpen his willpower. A ripple came at him. Human. I'll make you and your wing regret it. Next time when I come here, I'll take you. Luo Feng replied through his mind ripple. Impossible. Don't count on it. Star Tower left, and Luo Feng stopped worrying about the White Wing. Just as the great beings in the original universe weren't able to deal with Star Tower, Luo Feng wasn't able to deal with the White Wing. It could happen to any universe supreme master. Next time, Luo Feng thought. Shawu Wing has changed sharply. Let me test its power now. The force of Shawu Wing could rival that of a top-tier pinnacle true treasure, and it might be able to match a strange object. I'll try now. Golden Country. Luo Feng burned his godly power. Quietly, a thin veil of golden light showed up and covered the entire mysterious space. It had a radius of 80 light years, much larger than that wing space. However, there were still blade storms around the White Wing, so even Golden Country wasn't able to control the space and time there. It was only able to control the stable space and the space between the rocks. Too powerful. Luo Feng was thrilled. He felt that Golden Country, performed with the pinnacle status of his Shawu Wings, could rival the combination of Miniature Universe, the previous Golden Country, and Flame Ocean. Luo Feng was exhilarated. He had a weaker godly power than other universe masters. Golden Country might actually be able to rival the strange object godly would. What's that? Luo Feng was dazed. He didn't have time to exclaim but was a bit shocked. Golden Country enveloped the entire mysterious space, and it penetrated the rocks on the edge. As a result, he discovered another cave portal. Another cave portal? Where does it lead? That's right, the White Wing wouldn't have come out of nowhere. It must have flown from someplace. Thoughts flooded Luo Feng's mind. I'll go check. Luo Feng made up his mind instantly. He was afraid that the new portal would be discovered by other great beings, and he was curious as well. Luo Feng flew to the cave portal using Star Tower, but it still took him more than a month to get there. There's light screen here also. It was a red cave portal, and Star Tower went through the light screen and entered a dark portal. Star Tower kept flying. It went through 9 light screens, after which there were no more light screens. Star Tower kept flying carefully. Cardinal Portal. Luo Feng stayed in Star Tower, driving along the 100-kilometer Cardinal Portal. He didn't dare venture the outside. Instead, he sent out his Mosha body first. Mosha body flew out of Star Tower and flew in front of it. Mosha body and Star Tower moved along the Cardinal Portal as Luo Feng kept Golden Country on an area of 10 billion square kilometers and tried to watch out for anything dangerous. So hot. Mosha body flew along the portal, and the heated air made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Cardinal crag. Moshe body flew to the crag and touched it with his hands. A strange heat was transferred through the palm of Moshe body, and his arm came off like a melted candle. The heat immediately circulated in his body, and his body trembled. Half of his body bounced away. After that, life core showed up and made up the godly body. I have the godly body of a universe knight, said Moshe body, staring at the crag in surprise. This strange heat is able to burn me. I must move forward. Luophone got more curious. Moshe body and Star Tower kept going forward at high speed. At times, they teleported themselves 1 billion kilometers away. So far, I've been moving along the portal for several light years. Luophone was amazed. Throughout the portal, he sometimes ran into branching paths, so he naturally chose the largest path. The brains of great beings worked extremely quickly, so it was easy for them to remember maps. He kept moving forward. The wing space should be at the edge of the main mountain of Tilted Mountain Sector, thought Luophone. Now that I've moved several light years inside, I've entered the mountainside, haven't I? The main mountain was towering and mysterious in Tilted Sector, and there were caves leading to the outer world. Sometimes, there were true treasures flowing into the water area. Usually, lots of great beings didn't dare go into the mountainside because it was too dangerous. Luophone dared to do so, as he had Star Tower and was curious about the origin of the white wings. After a long time, there were lots of forks in the road, and Luophone kept choosing the largest branch to move forward. The farther he went, the higher the temperature became. Luophone even put back his Moshe body as the heat outside was high enough to burn Moshe body to ashes. Rumor has it that the inner area of Tilted Peak Sector is extremely dangerous. Even Primal Chaos City leader might die here. As for the core area, even Universe Supreme Masters might die. Luophone was intimidated. The heat is able to burn a Universe Knight. How terrifying the mountainside is. Star Tower was able to resist material attacks and guard souls, which was why Luophone dared to venture forward. What's at the end of these caves? Luophone wondered. After 30 light years of flying, he finally saw the end. Star Tower arrived at a place that looked like a cast cave, an eroded section of cave with crevices and towers of stone. The white flames were flowing, and hundreds of flaming branches were intersecting each other, forming this enormous cast cave, extending to an unknown destination. There were red, cyan, and grey halos on the magma, and endless flames emanated from deep within the cave. The space was quite intact. There were no space ripples. Teleportation was impossible here. Luophone tried to extend a trace of godly power out, but it was immediately annihilated. Even Universe Masters would die here without armor to protect them, Luophone whispered. I came here through the cave. Is this an inner area or the core? Luophone moved his mind. Star Tower moved forward and touched the flames. The fire burned Star Tower, but nothing changed in Star Tower. No wonder it's a supreme true treasure, Luophone exclaimed. It was as he'd expected. After all, supreme true treasures wouldn't be damaged even in the lands of extremis. Although he had seen the broken white wing, that was the result of an unknown war. Such an enormous cave. Luophone didn't dare go along the branches as he feared that he might not be able to make it back. Luophone kept flying Star Tower through the cave. Star Tower didn't even enter the flames. The stone pillars stay intact under those flames, Luophone observed. How bizarre. He found that although those stone pillars appeared ordinary, the sand on the stone pillars could reflect light. It was as if there were many distinct spaces here. Star Tower disappeared in front of a stone pillar and showed up outside. There is a separate space within each of the sand. Luophone was bewildered. Star Tower entered a separate space after only touching the sand. It was an arid space. Luophone got out immediately as he had completely comprehended the law of space. Those stone pillars might be made of lots of grains of sand, and there is a space in each grain of the sand, realized Luophone. What are those stone pillars? I've never heard of such a thing. Is it an extremely dangerous place in Tilted Peak Sector? So maybe no great beings of the human race have ever entered it. Luophone was baffled, as there were no records of these stone pillars. Huh. One pillar in particular immediately Luo Feng's attention. What is that? Not too far away, there was another stone pillar. At first glance, it was not any different from the other stone pillars. However, taking a closer look, one could see that on the surface of that stone pillar, there was a faint claw mark. The size of it was similar to that of an average earthling's palm, but it only had 4 fingers. The print was deeply etched onto that stone pillar. A claw mark, said Luo Feng. Who would leave a claw mark? Given this flurry of flames, even ordinary universe masters with their true treasure armors would be completely burned to death. Who would come here? Luo Feng was inwardly puzzled. The entrance of Tilted Peak Sector's main mountain peak could be found within the crack within that cross-section, and Luo Feng had made it inside the mountain by traveling against the current flow of the mysterious space of the water domain. Based on his position, he calculated that he ought to be located at the lower region of Tilted Peak Sector's main mountain peak. From top to bottom, deeper within Tilted Peak Sector. This was definitely not an ordinary region. There was no information about this stone pillar in the human race's records, which confirmed that this place was not an ordinary region. One must be an extraordinary great being in order to make it here, so this was probably left by a universe supreme being, Luo Feng speculated. Star Tower flew over to the stone pillar. As tiny as a sesame seed, Star Tower observed the claw mark most meticulously. The gravel in the middle of the claw mark. Luo Feng's eyes lit up. The claw mark was composed of countless pieces of gravel, and the area that the claw mark was etched on was hence heavily spotted with it. The countless pieces of gravel looked incredibly beautiful in the faintly refracted space, but in the middle, it exuded traces of a particular aura, an aura that was quite uncommon. Go in and take a look. The peak of Star Tower grazed the gravel lightly. The entirety of Star Tower was immediately sucked into one of the spaces contained within the gravel. Within the space found inside the gravel, the surrounding temperature was much lower. It was almost as low as the temperature within the core of a star. Comparing this temperature to the temperature of the outside world, which was enough to completely burn up the godly power of a universe master, this was much more bearable. Mosha Body appeared out of thin air, and Star Tower landed on the shoulders of Mosha Body. This space. Mosha Body looked around its surroundings. With one glance, the vast space was filled with a deathly stillness. Other than the numerous mountains composed of endless mountain rocks and the vast land, there was nothing special about it. Previously, Luo Feng had entered a space within one of the grains of sand, and it had also contained this state of deathly stillness, nothing special at all. This piece of gravel is obviously something different. I don't believe there is nothing special here. Golden Country. Luo Feng made a move in his mind. An endless, hazy golden light fell upon the space in an instant. Within the space, the rocky earth and mountains did not show anything special. The mountain rocks in Tilted Peak Sector were very special. Firstly, they were incomparably hard and sturdy. Even if one were to exert full force to destroy some of those rocks, the damaged area would coagulate and recover its original state. Secondly, godly power, territories against nearly everything, they were almost impenetrable. The rocks and mountains within this gravel space do not seem special at all. They are only ordinary mountain rocks. This gravel space itself, indeed, has a unique spot. Mosha Body revealed a trace of delight. With one step, it crossed over a distance of thousands of kilometers to arrive at a mountain peak. On that mountain peak, there was a smooth slab of a rock wall where a strange bout of waves could be found. On the floor before this rock wall, there were 2 items. One was a green pendant that had strange beast carvings decorating its surface. The other was a silk remnant of incomparable beauty. The silk remnant was an intricate mix of black and gold, and it exuded an aura that made Mosha Body feel incredibly comfortable. These 2 items. Mosha Body was extremely delighted. After all, he could rely on the human race's information vault to identify quite a sizable number of items that he did not recognize. At least, he had no trouble identifying the 2 items before him. These are items from Universe Boat, one of the 3 most dangerous lands. Luo Feng looked at that green beast carvings pendant. It's been said that, with this item in possession, one holds special authority within Universe Boat. The risk of danger is lower, and there is a cultivation space exclusive to anyone with this pendant. The Universe Boat is an immeasurably massive yet damaged planet ship. How could a damaged planet ship be listed as one of the 3 most dangerous lands? Firstly, Universe Boat was ridiculously massive. The entire planet ship was hundreds of millions of light-years in size, and it could swallow endless amounts of chaotic energy, which would cause the surroundings of the entire ship to be enveloped by a dangerous and severe atmosphere. Internally, Universe Boat was fraught with danger. Universe Boat had appeared endless eras ago. Even before the birth of the 2 Holy Lands, Universe Boat had been there. No one knew its origins. Also, Universe Boat liked to swallow miniature universes. Damaged miniature universes were often attracted to it, only to be sucked in and swallowed. Because of this occurrence, it had gained its appropriate name Universe Boat. This damaged, super planet ship had endless power, yet it also had endless dangers and hidden treasures. The dangers within it were enough to annihilate Universe Supreme Masters. And the hidden treasures within it were enough to make any great being from Universe Ocean go crazy with longing for them. Tokens were a peculiar kind of item within the Universe Boat. So long as one carried a token wherever he went, some of the dangerous lands might no longer be dangerous to him, although this was not applicable to all the dangerous lands. Every token had a gigantic secret chamber that corresponded to it. Every secret chamber had an isolated space all its own. Luo Feng looked at the other item. Pulling Traces Diagram. The first item was a token from Universe Boat. The other was a Pulling Traces Diagram. Previously, Yuan Ao Master had driven various parties into a frenzied battle for the Pulling Traces Diagram. Pulling traces were a very precious kind of material. It was an important material used to produce illusion-type true treasures, as it had a natural calming effect on one's mood. The pieces Luo Feng had gained previously were merely remnants that were much too small. This Pulling Traces Diagram before him. Compared to the complete one that Yuan Ao Master had taken out previously, this seemed to be slightly bigger, and the aura it exuded made Moshe Body feel extremely comfortable. What extravagance in the use of threads of pulling traces to be able to make such a big piece, Luo Feng mused. So extravagant that perhaps only a Universe Supreme Master could afford to do this. Moshe Body stretched out to grab the Pulling Traces Diagram. A thread of godly power penetrated the cloth. His consciousness also entered the Pulling Traces Diagram. Instantly, he seemed to enter a virtual space. Within this virtual space was a virtual, gigantic Universe Boat. A strand of red thread strung together certain regions within the Universe Boat. In this virtual space, the dangers within each region were simulated as though they were real, and descriptions of how to avoid these dangers and the ways to traverse these dangerous lands were shown. This is part of the map of the Universe Boat. Moshe Body immediately retracted his godly power. He gained an understanding almost instantly. He became delirious with joy. The 3 most dangerous lands were on par with one another. Tilted Peak Sector, Universe Boat, and Flowing Countless Mountains were places that could give birth to numerous supreme true treasures, where pinnacle treasures were more commonly seen. Of course, precious treasures always went hand in hand with terrifying environments. Therefore, the more detailed and comprehensive a map was, the more precious it would be. This map was as good as the one that Yuan Ao Master had previously taken out. In terms of value, it was no less than a strange godly wood. And it belonged solely to Luo Feng. A bout of waves suddenly burst out from the rock wall before him. Luo Feng, who had just picked up the green token, could not help looking up. A scene was unfolding on the rock wall before him. 2 vague figures began to appear. One was an immeasurable beauty whose entire body was covered with countless green leaves. Looking at her was like looking at the most exuberant existence of the universe. Luo Feng felt immeasurable comfort. The other figure was wearing a long, grey robe. At first glance, he looked like a piece of dead wood, and his head bore some resemblance to crystal. He was bald and did not have ears or a nose, only 3 eyes and a mouth. "I am Jie Fanzi," the grey-robed figure said. "I am Zhenlin," said the beautiful lady wrapped in countless green leaves, also introducing herself. The grey-robed figure continued, "Because you picked up the 2 items I left behind, you are able to see these images taken as a memento. What we cannot know is, by the time you see this, which reincarnation era it will be. As the grey-robed figure's mouth moved, strange waves formed. It spoke in a language Luofeng was not familiar with, but when the waves were transmitted to his brain, he seemed to naturally understand everything the figure was saying. To a certain extent, there was no need for language. The waves of one another's willpower enabled them to establish mutual understanding. Which reincarnation era? Luofeng was secretly in shock. These two fellows. The human databank had already provided Luofeng with information on some terrifying figures from the 3 major universe eras and 2 holy lands, yet apparently, there was no information about these two, Jiefanzi and Jinlin. He had never heard of them before. Clearly, they were not life forms from any of the 3 major universe reincarnation eras. I am a lone supreme master, the grey-robed figure continued. Before my last fight, my inheritance, my countless efforts, I do not wish for them to go to waste. So, on my way to try for that breakthrough in reincarnation, I left a token and a map of the universe ocean here. That token represents an isolated space within the universe boat. Other than my supreme true treasure that I brought along with me, I have left the rest of what I own there. I only hope that successors shall bring glory to my legacy. And, if possible, hand down the various techniques and knowledge I have created to later generations, thus providing them with meaning to live on. This is not a demand, the grey-robed figure clarified. I am in no position to ask too much of a great being from numerous reincarnation eras in the future. Luofeng's heart started to beat faster. Damn. Pulling Trace's diagram and the green token from Universe Boat were actually just keys. A lone Universe Supreme Master only took his supreme true treasure with him and left the rest of his belongings there. The riches of a Universe Supreme Master could be incomparably intimidating, like how much huge Axe Creator had contributed to the human race. The lone wanderer sitting mountain guest, for instance, did not bother himself with pinnacle true treasures at all. And Dark Universe Creator had immediately said he wanted the strange object Godly Wood and was willing to use his pinnacle true treasures to compensate the various parties in exchange for it. To the lone Universe Supreme Masters, some of these pinnacle true treasures were worthless. Another wave that sounded full of vitality was transmitted to Luofeng. Junior. The beautiful lady had spoken up, too. I, Jinlin, left behind my inheritance, too. As for the token and the map, they are kept at a distance of around 300 light-years away from here. If you are capable enough, there is no harm looking around. Whether you are able to find it or not depends on your luck. Don't listen to her, said the grey-robed figure. This is already the core of Tilted Peak Sector, where danger lurks all over. Where even Universe Supreme Masters are highly likely to be annihilated. It is said that some Universe Supreme Masters who succeeded in breaking through reincarnations left tokens within their surroundings, but to be able to obtain those tokens, one would need luck, as scouring around for these tokens would be far too dangerous. We have lived for almost 3 reincarnation eras. Our limits are nearing. We only have one last gamble to make to break through this round of reincarnation. If we achieve a breakthrough, then we can become eternal existences and even establish a sacred universe. The universe ocean of today only has one sacred universe, said the lady wrapped in green leaves. I am going to see to it that universe ocean has 2 sacred universes. Haha. Jinlin, let's go. Let's go. The grey-robed figure and lady covered with green leaves vanished in a flash and were closely followed by the images that were kept as mementos. These gradually dispersed from sight too. Luofeng stood before the rock wall but was motionless for quite some time. This video will end here.